Well, the latest statistics we have are those of the housing survey that was conducted around 2007. There were about 650,000 widows then. Talking about their conditions, generally the people who are suffering, marginalized, some considered somehow like outcasts in some communities, sometimes like witches and so on. So there are people who are suffering a lot from the surrounding population or from their communities. Well, talking about the institutional framework, of course, we have the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family that has a key responsibility to protect women's rights, and widows are a category, a special category. So the ministry, apart from the central services, the ministry is represented in all the 10 regions. We even have divisional delegations in all the 58 divisions, and then we have about 70 or 80 sub-divisional delegations. Added to that, we have women's empowerment centers. 107 of them are operational. And of course, we have other structures, what we call safe spaces, and we also have forums or platforms, like what we call the gender-based violence platforms at the regional level. In our communities, women are usually, when a husband dies, most of the time the woman is accused. So in that case, you know that the loved ones of the deceased husband definitely are the first to discriminate against her, and other members of the community who are ignorant of the pains that widows go through. We also have discriminatory laws that are really institutionalized when it comes to succession. With our system, we have a woman inheriting the husband only at the 4th position. It is true that the situation is different with the common law system, because with the common law system, a woman inherits, a widow inherits the husband at the first place. Maybe I can go a little deeper, talking about not just discrimination, maybe adding issues like that have to do with socialization. Generally, widows are isolated. Sometimes we've seen widows sitting on the bare floor or on plantain leaves. All that we call repugnant widowhood rites. Widows are not allowed to shake hands with anybody. Sometimes they are not allowed to share food with the next person, and so those are various issues that widows go through when we talk about discrimination. Generally, what we observe are humiliating, they are repugnant, they are against the dignity of women. And so with the work of the ministry is to raise awareness of the population generally and families in particular, to see that widows are given the respect. And also for communities to adopt rights that are not demeaning. So that one is left for the various cultures to choose what can replace the repugnant ones. When we talk of repugnant widowhood rights, of course, you must have heard sometimes women are trailed naked or are paraded naked immediately after the burial of their husbands. It used to happen, but now I don't know whether it still happens. But when it comes to things like sleeping on the floor, not bathing for a number of days, those things are still happening. So what the ministry does is to raise awareness of the population and to make sure that in as much as we want to preserve our culture, we have to make sure that widows' rights are respected. Well, when we talk of collective responsibility, it's a call to the general public. It's a call for what they call collective consciousness. In fact, the whole population, all communities as a whole. Now, talking about the family, in our context, you know that our families are broad, they are enlarged, where we have uncles, aunts, grandparents, cousins, and so on. It's our talks, educative talks, awareness raising is addressed most of the time to the general public, and when it is addressed to the general public, it is individual families and representatives of those families that receive the message. And so each person who receives a message from the Ministry of the Women's Empowerment and the family is supposed to go and spread the message in their own families to make sure that widows are respected. One thing we make the population to understand is that what happens to one woman today will definitely happen to another one tomorrow. And so the perpetrators of violence, because it's a violence, it's one of gender-based, what we call gender-based violence. And so women who perpetrate such violence against widows, they will definitely, or they might become widows tomorrow. And so it is left for family members to have their own values. Each family is supposed to have their value system to make sure that every member of the family is respected, every member of the family is given support. Well, there's, of course, today is the 23rd. The Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family will be making a statement, a public statement. It's going to be an official ceremony where she has invited the various stakeholders and hundreds upon hundreds of widows. And so she's going to address a message to them. It's not only the minister alone, many stakeholders will have to take the floor. We have invited health personnel who will talk to widows on sensitive health issues like malaria, like HIV, like cancer. And so widows will have so much to learn. That's one of them. Of course, like what we are doing now is sending out messages through the media. We'll also have educative talks that will target specific widows groups, because many of them are organized. We'll go to all the 7 subdivisions of Yaoundé where we'll meet the groups and widows associations, and we'll talk about many things to them. And a specific activity, or another activity, will be training widows on income generating activities. And the training that has been planned this year is not just the ordinary one that we've been having, but stepping up. Women have been brought up to really produce, but we need to teach them on how to brand their products and to respect standards so that they can sell abroad and using all the outlets possible.